All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into something that affects pretty much everyone who travels.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all about the gut,
The gut.
how travel impacts your gut microbiome.
Oh, yeah, that's such a fascinating area.
We've got some really cool research to dig into.
Oh, excellent.
This is a study on Irish cricket players
Cricket players.
leading up to the 2016 World Cup.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they provided fecal samples
I see.
before and after traveling to all these different destinations.
So we can actually see the impact of travel on their gut bacteria.
Yeah, and I mean, our mission here is to understand what these changes
Right.
for anyone who travels, not just elite athletes.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah,
Because what happens to them can give us clues about what might happen to us.
exactly. So let's jump right in. So we've got these male and female Irish cricket players, and they were traveling to a bunch of places.
Okay.
The men went to Zambia and Namibia, Australia, UAE, and India, and the women's team went to India.
So good mix of destinations there.
Yeah, and right off the bat, one thing was super clear. Travel to India
India.
had the biggest impact on their gut microbiomes compared to all the other places.
Interesting. So there's something specific about India, it seems.
Yeah. So let's break this down.
Okay.
Starting with something called alpha diversity.
All right.
So what is alpha diversity? What are we talking about here?
Well, think of it like this alpha diversity is all about the variety of different bacteria you have in your gut.
So the more diverse, the better, right?
Generally, yeah. A more diverse gut microbiome is considered to be a healthier one.
Okay. So what happened to their alpha diversity after traveling to India?
Well, in some players, they actually saw a decrease in alpha diversity after their trips to India.
So less variety.
Yeah, less variety in their gut bacteria.
Hmm. But was it a huge drop across the whole group?
Not really. It wasn't a statistically significant decrease across the entire group of players,
I see.
but it was definitely noticeable in certain individuals.
Okay, so individual responses can vary quite a bit. Now, what about beta diversity? How is that different?
So beta diversity that looks at the differences in the overall makeup of the gut microbiome, either between different people
Right.
or in the same person at different points in time.
I see. So like how much your gut changes
Exactly.
over time or how different your gut is from mine?
Yeah, and what they found was that each cricketer's gut kind of stayed pretty unique to them.
Oh, so their individual signature remained.
Pretty much, yeah. But there was one male player
Okay.
who showed a really significant shift
Mm.
in his gut composition after traveling to India.
Oh, wow.
It really highlights how travel can affect people so differently.
So fascinating. So it's not a one-size-fits-all response.
Not at all.
Now, they also looked at how stable someone's gut microbiome was after travel
Right.
and whether they had any, tummy troubles.
Yeah, gastrointestinal issues.
Exactly. And did they find any connection there?
They did, actually. They found that players whose gut bacteria showed more ups and downs,
Fluctuations?
that fluctuations after traveling,
Yep.
were often the same ones who reported having gastrointestinal issues. And this was especially true before their trip to India.
Oh, so even before they went.
Exactly. It's like their gut was already a bit sensitive or something.
Interesting. So maybe if you're already having some gut issues before you travel, you might be more susceptible to further disruptions.
That's what the data suggests.
Okay, makes sense. So let's dive into the specifics now.
Right.
What kinds of bacteria were they seeing changing after travel to India?
Well, they found that certain bacteria like Staphylococcus
Okay.
and Doria
Mm-hmm.
were more common in their initial samples, before the trip.
So those were kind of like the baseline bacteria?
Yeah, you could say that. And then after they traveled to India, they saw increases in other bacteria,
Like what?
like Enterococcus
Okay.
and Actinobacteria.
Actinobacteria.
And what's interesting is that Actinobacteria has been linked to irritable bowel syndrome.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
that's a potential red flag there.
Yeah, it's a connection that definitely warrants further investigation.
So some bacteria went down, some went up after India?
Yeah, that's the general trend they observed.
Now, what about the players who actually reported having GI distress? Were there any specific bacteria that seemed to be involved in that?
Yeah, they did find a few, actually using different methods to analyze the bacteria. They saw increases in things like Romaine Clostridium 9
Okay.
and various types of Prevotella,
Prevotella.
yeah, and Klebsiella in the players who reported gut issues.
So those might be some of the culprits behind travelers' diarrhea or other gut problems.
Potentially, yeah. More research is needed, but it's definitely a lead.
Now, the study also mentioned an increase in E. coli in some of the travelers.
Oh, yeah, E. coli, that's a big one.
We all know what that can sometimes mean.
Yeah, it'd be a sign of trouble.
So what did they find specifically?
Well, they found more Escherichia coli that's the full name,
Right.
in the post-India samples of 2 players who had actually reported GI issues before their trip.
Oh, so they were already having problems.
Yeah, and what's even more interesting is that the specific types of E. coli they found
Uh-huh.
seemed to be different, suggesting they picked them up from different sources.
Ah, so different strains of E. coli from different places.
Exactly, and some E. coli strains, as we know, can lead to diarrhea.
This is getting really interesting. Now, did they also look at whether travel affected things like antibiotic resistance?
Yes, they did, and this is a really important finding
Okay.
in those same 2 players.
With the E. coli?
Yes, with the increased E. coli and gut issues after India,
Right.
they also saw an increase in genes that make bacteria resistant to antibiotics.
Oh, wow. So their gut bacteria were becoming more resistant.
Exactly, and this resistance wasn't just to one type of antibiotic, it was to several different classes of antibiotics.
That's scary. So travel could potentially be contributing to the spread of antibiotic resistance.
It's a real concern, and one of the players had recently taken antibiotics, but the other one hadn't.
Oh, so it wasn't just from previous antibiotic use.
Right, it suggests that travel itself might be playing a role in increasing antibiotic resistance.
That's a sobering thought. Now, they also looked at genes related to how harmful bacteria can be, right? Like their virulence.
Yeah, they looked at virulence genes,
Yeah.
basically, genes that can make bacteria more likely to cause disease.
And what did they find?
They found a greater variety and an increase in specific virulence marker genes in those same post-India samples.
So more potential for problems.
Well, just because these genes are present doesn't mean the bacteria will definitely cause problems,
Right.
but it does raise concerns about the potential for increased risk.
Okay, so a lot of changes linked to India travel. What about those other destinations like Zambia, Australia, and the UAE? Did they see similar effects?
Interestingly, they didn't see the same significant changes in the gut microbiome from those
No,
trips.
that's interesting.
And the researchers think this could be partly because they had fewer samples from those specific travel locations.
Okay, so more research is needed there to be sure.
Exactly.
All right, so to wrap this up, it seems like travel, especially to a place like India, can really disrupt your gut microbiome.
Yeah, it can throw things off balance.
And this disruption might increase the risk of antibiotic resistance and the presence of genes linked to harmful bacteria, particularly if you're already having stomach issues before you travel.
Right. If your gut's already a bit vulnerable, travel might make it worse.
And while this was a study of athletes,
Yeah,
I think it's relevant for all of us.
absolutely.
Our gut health can be quite sensitive to these kinds of changes when we travel.
Yeah, travel can be a real stress test for the gut.
So for you, our listener, this deep dive highlights the potential impact of your travels on your gut, especially when you're heading to places with different environments.
Yeah. New foods, new water,
Yeah.
new bacteria.
Exactly. Or if you're not feeling your best beforehand, it really makes you think about what you might do to support your gut health when you travel.
Yeah, like, are there things you can do to minimize the risks?
Exactly what proactive steps might you consider?
Interesting question.
That's something to think about based on what we've discussed.
Definitely food for thought.
Thanks for diving deep with us.
My pleasure.